Harry doesn't get to watch TV. He doesn't really get to do anything. So does he even know what a wizard is?
It's like, Harry, my man, you're literally standing on letters.
Yeah. So this book was set in 1991. And, the chapter is called The Letters from No One. So I thought it fitting to kind of talk about technology. Texting came out in 1992. I don't know. Do you remember your first cell phone? My first cell phone was a Nokia brick. I've seen memes online about it. It is the final Horcrux that you cannot destroy.
You can't destroy it.
No.
Yes. Oh, Nokia. Those things were indestructible.
Oh, yes, they were. What was your first phone?
My first phone, it was a birthday present from my parents, my 16th birthday, and it just said Verizon on it. I don't even think it had a brand. I think it was just Verizon bought a bunch of cheap brick phones and just put their name on it. That was my first one.
Did it have the removable battery?
Yes.
Oh, back in the day when your battery died, you just swap it out. Oh, so nice.
Yeah, back in the day when you dropped a cell phone, it burst into 3 or 4 pieces and you picked them up and put them back together.
Yep.
Now you pray to whatever god you worship that there's not a crack in the screen. That's going to cost $300.
That's the first thing you look at. Yep.
That's going to cost $300 to replace. Yes.
And this is back with Windows 95. I'm pretty sure it was that long ago, or I've used Windows 95, 96, 98. I've used all the dial-up, that certain sound that it makes when you log in online and. Yeah.
Yes.
Are you on the computer? Yes. I need to use the phone.
I know. Gotta use the phone. Get off the internet. I've got to make a phone call. Oh my gosh. Dial up, baby.
But
dial up.
It's back in the day of being in class, passing notes around, which maybe that's not a back in the day thing. Maybe kids still do that these days. I mean, how else are you going to talk in
class? I think most schools, you're not allowed to have cell phones in class and stuff like that. So I think notes are probably still a thing.
Yeah, maybe. That, and then I had a pen pal. So dating myself here.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah, I'm dating myself with a pen pal, but not the Windows 95, huh? Oh, yeah, good job.
No, I said, oh, yes, pen pals. I think I'm older than you. Am I older than you? I think I'm slightly older than you are.
I'm 38.
I just turned 39, so I've got the slight edge.
Yeah,
but I don't feel a day over 38, so.
Yeah, but pen pals were just. Can you describe that a little bit? I think you know more about it.
Yeah, so the way that we did it when I was involved, it was always through school. I never had a random person that I met that moved and we pen pal, but it was always, 3rd or 4th grade. It's like, oh, we've got this sister school in, England, and everybody, you get a pen pal, and then. That might have happened a few times over the years. Never took it super serious, but, did send 2 or 3 letters back and forth. And, that was cool.
It's nice. Like, your friends would write to you once. My friends didn't write to me a lot, but, it was a thing. Then your grandparents wrote to you. And I still tell some of my friends, I'm like, hey, why don't you write me a letter? They're like, why? I'm like, well, why not? Just write me a letter. We could just do that instead of texting, Just the anticipation of waiting for the reply. It's like we talked about with the TV shows, the anticipation of waiting for that next episode. Everything's immediate now.
Immediate gratification. We live in the time of immediate gratification.
Oh, we do. But I thought this would tie in really good to this chapter, so I think I'm going to have you try to open us up today.
Right now?
Oh, yeah. First time? Let's go for first time. Okay. Let's pop that cherry.
It goes a little something like this. Welcome back, wizards, witches, and muggles, to Squibs Corner. I am, let's say, today's host, Andrew, and I am joined with my man,
Jeremiah.
And today we are going over still book 1, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, or Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, depending on your liking. Mm-hmm. And we're in chapter 3, which is the letters from no one. And so
you had some real strong opinions after that last episode. I had to cut you off there, but is this something we can get into right now, or will we get into it as we go?
We'll get into it.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get into it. So I'm going to hit you with a summary of where we are to date. We've only gone through 2 chapters, but we set the stage.
Let's
Baby
hit that
Harry-
7-word summary real quick.
Okay. What's... Ooh.
Always got to set the mood. I'm a mood setter on this podcast. You go ahead and go with your 7-word summary there.
Okay, 7-word summary for the chapter, Letters from No One. Letters everywhere, but Harry can't read them.
That's a good one. That reminds me of this meme that I watched. No, it wasn't a meme. It was a short clip. Somebody handed somebody a piece of paper and said, "Why don't you read that to everybody?" And he looks at the piece of paper and goes, "I can't read this." And the guy goes, "Oh, yeah? Yeah. Oh, that's too bad you can't read." He said, No, I can't read this. "Oh, man. It's okay if you can't read." "No, that's what the paper says."
Dirty trick. Dirty trick.
So mine is similar. It starts out the same, at least. Letters to Harry make Vernon go crazy. And
he does.
Oh, yes, very
He
much
does.
so. Yes.
Vernon flips a switch midway through this chapter.
Oh, yeah, his mustache changes shape, so.
Yes. Okay, so here's what we know so far. Harry, as a baby, his parents, James and Lily, they are murdered by a wizard named Voldemort, who had been terrorizing the wizarding community, at least in that part of the world, for about 11 years. Then baby Harry is brought to number 4 Privet Drive by Hagrid, who is twice as big as a normal man, and hands the size of trash can lids and feet the size of baby dolphins, because that's how we measure things in the wizarding community.
Exactly.
Where we meet Albus Dumbledore and Minerva McGonagall, who are powerful wizards and witches and professors at a school together, because he calls her professor at one point. And then they're waiting to hand baby Harry, over to his only known relatives, the Dursleys. And the Dursleys, we learn, are the absolute worst. And then we see, even 10 years later, after living there, Harry leads a miserable life, being neglected, and he's relegated to sleeping in a cupboard under the stairs. And he was fortunate, however, to finally be able to tag along on Dudley's birthday adventures to the zoo, where Harry may or may not have had a conversation with a rather large boa constrictor, and then he set it free by accidentally, magically making the glass disappear, allegedly.
Allegedly. I don't know about the technology they had, but maybe, just maybe, they had the ability to roll the glass down. They were just pranking everybody. Ashton Kutcher was around there somewhere, and people were getting punked.
Yeah, and our only witnesses were Piers Polkiss and Dudley Dursley, so I don't think, suspect.
Well, their parents would believe them, so their parents would believe anything Dudley or any of his friends would say.
Angel.
So we start off with the first paragraph. The escape of the Brazilian boa constrictor earned Harry his longest punishment ever. With no proof that Harry did it, by the way. By the time he was allowed out of his cupboard again, the summer holidays had started, and Dudley had already broken his new video camera, crashed his remote control airplane, and first time out on his racing bike, knocked down old Mrs. Figg as she crossed Privet Drive on her crutches. That sounds like that sounds very Dudley-ish. So, maybe he did it on purpose.
He doesn't
care. Or he just doesn't know how to ride the bike. Or it's
Dudley
both.
Doesn't care.
Whoops, I don't know how to ride the bike. Look at me. I'm not exactly skinny. So we learn that Harry spent as much time out of the house as possible because Dudley and his friends like to play a little game they call Harry hunting. And if I were in this situation, I would probably do the same. Bad home life, I'm not going to want to be in the home.
Yeah.
Okay, the pieces fit.
Yeah.
He can't wait for school to start, which is odd for a kid to say, but again, given the situation, it makes sense. It'll be the first time that him and Dudley aren't going to the same school. Ah, what a relief.
I know it.
Dudley is preparing to go to his father's alma mater, a private school called Smeltings. Harry is going to Stonewall High, which, if I recall, Stonewell. Hopefully I don't butcher this. Stonewell is a real place, and I think it's got like a really big statue out front, and it's used as like a background for a lot of different movies.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And Smeltings, as far as we know, what did we find out about Smeltings?
Yeah, so I looked that up. Smeltings, and this may or may not be a real thing, but one of the things that it was saying was that Smeltings could have been a conglomerate of 4 famous English public schools. Eton College, Harrow School, Hill House School, and the King's School. And after we go through Duddelykin's uniform, we'll kind of point out why they think that.
You know what I just found interesting? That number 4 that you just mentioned kind of goes hand in hand with the other school that we're going to talk about later. I do know that J.K. Rowling just researched the absolute living crap out of everything
Yes.
that she wrote. So there's not, everything is there for a reason and it has meaning behind it. It's not just random stuff, which, oh man, the brains that have to be inside of that head is insane.
Oh, yeah.
But so now we get to hear Harry's first comeback to Dudley, which I think is a relief to the reader.
Yes.
Oh, I love this part, and I listened to it a couple times. Okay, so this is Dudley talking. They stuff. No, that's Patrick. They stuff people's heads down the. Oh wait, okay, I think I got it. They stuff people's heads down the toilet first day at Stonewall. Want to come upstairs and practice? That still doesn't sound right. Can you? Let's.
Well,
let's hear you.
I enjoy how the actor did. It's so the actor that played Dudley, he sounded very much like Veruca Salt from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I want a golden goose. I want it now.
Yeah,
and
kind
so
of high pitch, yeah.
very, definitely an 11-year-old. They stuff people's heads down the toilet the first day of Stonewall, something like that. Like
there we go. Yeah.
I'm not saying we should punch children.
No.
But his voice and antics are very punchable.
Yes. Oh. Harry's response to this is great, though. The poor toilet's never had anything as horrible as your head down it. It might be sick. And then he ran before Dudley could work out what he said. The perfect scene in the book. This is not in the movie. So this
not
is
in the movie.
Strictly a book scene right here. Great.
Just things that we miss, things that we may or may not get in the HBO Max reboot.
I just seen a deleted clip with Maggie Smith, Professor McGonagall. Spoiler.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace. But spoiler, when Sirius gets in, he gets in because someone in particular wrote down all the passwords and then proceeded to lose them. But that they tried to act out.
Did he lose them?
Well, they tried to act out the book in the movie for that whole part right there. And a lot of people were like, oh, I'm glad they cut that because it didn't fit the energy that the movie was giving. And I was like, the fact that they tried to quote from the book like that gives me a little bit more hope for the series coming out.
Sure. Well, and even in the book, we don't learn that Crookshanks took the passwords until much later anyway. So You couldn't. I mean,
Yeah.
but to be determined. So yeah, so he runs out, and then we find out. So Harry gets to hang out at Mrs. Figg's while Aunt Petunia and Dudley are in London getting his new school uniforms, and Harry gets to watch TV, which is super great. And then he gets some chocolate cake, which unfortunately tasted like it was years old. But old chocolate cake and television time away from the Dursleys, another
Yeah.
win, right?
Yeah,
Another win.
perfect. Yes.
So Dudley gets back with his school uniform that includes what they call it a knobbly stick, which are used for hitting each other while the teacher isn't looking. And then it says which is supposed to be good training for later in life. What training?
I think what they, from what I read, it's like to teach them that actions have consequences. So if you keep getting hit with a stick, you're going to try not to do what you were doing so that you don't get hit with the stick. But if you're a kid, you're just going to hit somebody with a stick. It doesn't matter what they did. They could just be sitting there reading a book and you're going to hit them. That's what you get for reading, nerd. So
yes.
The true meaning or point to this, I don't know. Like, here's a stick. It's going to teach you how to be a jackass. That's what I'm getting from it.
Yeah, so they describe his uniform, and that's where, kind of the theory that they got some of this stuff from these 4 other schools. So at Eton, they had jackets with long tailcoats, which is part of Dudley's uniform. At Harrow, they had the boater hats, the flat, kind of wicker boater hats, which is part of the Smeltings uniform. And then Hill House, they wore knickerbocker trousers, and they had off-color schemes, which I think they even matched the color scheme in the movie. And then at King's School in Canterbury, they had swagger sticks. Swagger sticks. Now, I don't know if those swagger sticks were meant for hitting people or if they were just part of the uniform, but they have them. Regardless, upon seeing Dudley in his new Smeltings uniform, Uncle Vernon pronounced that it was the proudest moment in his life. And Aunt Petunia burst into tears and couldn't believe that her ickle Duddykins looked so handsome and so grown up. And Harry was doing his best not to laugh at how ridiculous Dudley looked, which we love.
Hearing your description about the uniform with the 4 different schools, I'm pretty sure there's a direct correlation between that and the 4 houses.
Very possible.
It's too coincidental to not look into, I think. And I think we will definitely be doing a side quest on something around this nature.
I like it.
So obviously, if Dudley's uniform is top of the line, Harry would be next in line to have the top of the line uniform, right? Well, no, no. So Harry goes into the kitchen when he wakes up the next day. Aunt Petunia has this big old pot on the stove, and she's stirring something. And Harry's, what is that? Oh, it's your new school uniform. I'm dyeing some of Dudley's old ones. It'll look just like the other ones. No one will ever know. Harry, oh, I didn't know they had to be so wet.
Yeah.
Don't be stupid.
Well, and she also, when you read the book, he's like, "What's that?" She like purses her lips because she's upset that he asked her a question.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
Didn't know they had to be so wet.
Yeah,
Harry's got sass. Harry's getting
great.
sass. Harry's getting sass, and I'm proud of him.
And the way it's read too just sounds like he was dead serious.
Yes.
Oh, jeez. But so this is going on. Uncle Vernon and Dudley come into the kitchen because, of course, because they're going to make fun of Harry probably. Or it's because Dudley's wearing his new uniform and banging his smelting stick all over the place, and he just wants to kind of show off, I guess. He's thinks
ready,
he's all prim and proper, and I guess it would be cool to like follow in your dad's footsteps. So I could see why he would be proud of like having that uniform and a smelting stick. So
yeah, And he's probably
Yeah.
excited because he's already a bully, and now he's been given a legal weapon to carry around.
Yeah, maybe
In school.
that's why she held on to the idea of that stick, because it
Yeah.
fits Dudley so good.
It fits. Like, yes. Yes, he's ready to rain terror with that stick.
Yeah. But now we hear a click of the mail slot and the sound of mail hitting the floor. Vernon tells, this is another nice exchange. Vernon, Dudley, get the mail. I don't want to. Make Harry. Harry, get the mail. Dudley, get the mail. Dudley hit Harry with her smelting stick.
Yes. Yes.
So, of course, Harry went and got the mail.
Yeah, talk about, reading this, it's like, you heard of the butterfly effect?
Yeah.
The butterfly, if you change one thing and the trajectory of, kind of goes along with chaos theory, but if one little thing changes, how much it changes. Imagine if Dudley would have gone and gotten the mail, or imagine if Vernon would have gone and gotten the mail, and they see that letter, they rip it up.
Oh, yeah.
Or like even Aunt Petunia later, she's like, oh, let's respond. And Vernon's like, no, don't do it. If we don't respond, they'll just drop it.
Yeah, I like the route she went. It stays true to the storyline as of yet. So
yes. So Harry gets up, gets the mail. There's 3 pieces of mail. One's a postcard from Aunt Marge, who is in, I wrote this down, the Isle of Wight. And we later learn, Uncle Vernon says, Marge is sick. And then there was a brown envelope, which was a bill. And then another iconic Harry Potter collectible item. Every fan of Harry Potter, there's a letter for Harry.
Yeah.
And we learn it's the first piece of mail that Harry has ever gotten in his almost 11 years of life. He picked it up, he examined the letter, and it's addressed to Mr. H. Potter, The Cupboard Under the Stairs, 4 Privet Drive, Little Whinging, Surrey. And the envelope is described as being thick and heavy, made of yellowish parchment. The address was written in emerald green ink, and there was no stamp. So he turns it over, he's examining it, and he sees a purple wax seal, which when I was dating my wife, we were teenagers, I got her a wax seal because she did love to write letters and loved to write cards. And so she'd melt the wax, put it on there, and then her name's Molly, so it's an M with, floral, and she'd stamp it down and she'd blow on it to wait for it to dry. Yeah, she loved it. I'm a great gift. Women love me. Women love me. But so he examines the purple wax seal bearing a coat of arms with a lion, an eagle, not a raven, an eagle, a badger, and a snake surrounding a large letter H.
So my only gripe with the 4 houses is the eagle should have been a raven.
Naturally.
I mean,
naturally.
I think I called it a raven for the longest time until someone was like, no, that's an eagle. I'm like, what?
It is an eagle.
Just because it's called that particular house doesn't mean that it has to be a raven. But
Gryffindor isn't a griffin like a mythical creature?
I think so. Isn't it like a lion with wings or something like that?
A griffin, legendary creature with the body, tail, and back legs of a lion, and the head and wings of an eagle.
Yeah.
So I could understand why she just went with a lion. That thing looks so dumb.
Yeah, I mean,
half eagle, half lion.
It just requires you to think just a tiny bit and not just look at the words and go, oh, no, you got to think a little tiny bit. So again, you'll hear us mention this many, many, many times.
Many times.
Talk about iconic. So I try not to use the word iconic. I was listening to a podcast. So you watched Full House growing up, right?
Yes. I don't think it's something that I watched every episode of or anything like that.
You know of it.
But definitely.
Okay, so Andrea Barber, who played Kimmy, and Jodie Sweetin, who played Stephanie, They have a podcast. It's called what is it called? Well, anyways, it's a Full House podcast. They're rewatching the movie and they're talking about behind the scenes. They have guests and everything. And their very first episode, I was so excited to listen to it. And this was recently, like within 2 years. And it was like every other word out of their mouth was iconic. Oh, this icon. Oh, the outfit was so iconic.
No.
And I typed to them. I said, okay, stop using, like, I was just, I wasn't, just straight to the point, like, quit using the word iconic. I was really looking forward to this podcast, and the amount of times you guys say iconic is taking me right out of it. They stopped using it. So I don't know if it was just coincidence they stopped using it, or if they were like, oh, crap, we did say that a lot. So I was like, yeah, here and there it's okay, but like they probably said it 30 times throughout the episode.
Sure.
And I was like,
sure.
No, like I get it. It's iconic. It's a 30-year-old show. I understand, but you don't have to like
everything.
So try to keep the iconic down as much as I can.
To a minimum.
The Hogwarts letter. This is something that it's another thing when you hear Harry Potter, you think the acceptance letter to Hogwarts. It's a big thing, and people still are waiting for their acceptance letter to Hogwarts. Yes. And I think there's even letters that you can get sent to you with that stamp and everything to make it feel official.
I have received one.
Oh, I haven't. You would think I would have done that, but I haven't.
My wife did that for my birthday one year.
That's okay. That's a keeper. Now I see why you use the word wife. It all makes sense now.
That's right.
So, like we said, it's really what starts Harry on the magical journey. It all starts with this letter. It's not accidental magic. This isn't making things happen or shaking hands with strangers that come up to him in public. This is his invitation back to the magical world in which he belongs.
Mm-hmm.
But, well, everyone that's ever read or watched the books wanted their Hogwarts letter, and we've talked about it. But I would think at this point, Harry knows nothing. Well, I know at this point, Harry knows nothing. So you described the letter. It has his bedroom on it.
Yeah.
If that were me, okay, somebody's stalking me. Where's somebody's spying on me? This is serious. I am now scared. Right?
Yes.
And that the Dursleys are freaking out. I don't know why they're freaking out. So now I'm freaking out more because this is as serious as I think it is from the outside looking in.
Yes. Yeah, and then like we're going to discuss in a minute, the next day later that day, Uncle Vernon's like, hey, we're going to move you into Dudley's second bedroom. And I love how they call it Dudley's second bedroom. And then the next day he receives another letter. There's another letter there. And Dudley reads it, and it says,
the smallest bedroom.
The smallest bedroom. So now Harry's like, who is this writing to me? There's a crest on the back. It's written in emerald green ink, yellowish parchment. Uncle Vernon didn't like it. Aunt Petunia didn't like it. They knew where I slept yesterday, and now they know where I slept last night. So the wheels have to be turning in his head. No sane 11-year-old or almost 11-year-old would go, oh, I bet it's a wizard school trying to get a hold of me. But you know something is up. He knows something is up by the way that they're reacting.
But the problem with this letter is he can't read it. Uncle Vernon rips it out of his hand every chance he gets. Dudley pointed out that Harry has a letter in the mail addressed to Harry, and everyone's kind of like, well, why would anybody write to Harry? Except
that tattletale.
Aunt Petunia and Vernon, they take one look at that letter, and they know exactly what it is. Now, I don't know if they know exactly what it is, but I think they know exactly where it came from. I've never actually thought about...
Petunia knows what it is.
Okay, that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, Petunia, because she was there when Lily got her acceptance letter. And
Yes.
Petunia even wrote a letter to Dumbledore asking to go, and he wrote her back
Yeah.
saying that Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry wasn't the school for her. So Petunia knew what it was.
But this is so important right here. So Uncle Vernon, he snatches the letter out of Harry's hand, glances at the letter, and his face turned from red to green to gray, like ghostly gray, as he realizes what it is. So Vernon is the kind of person, he doesn't get scared. He's the type of person that he you can't intimidate him. He's the person that's intimidating.
Yes,
So
yes.
for him to have this reaction, and Harry growing up with him for the last 10 years, seeing this, it would just scare me even more.
Yes.
Like, what is happening to my uncle? I don't like him, but still, what is happening? I've never seen this before. So this is, yeah.
And then he shows the letter to Aunt Petunia. And Aunt Petunia, she freaks out. She can barely say his name. And the funny part about all of this, while this has happened, Dudley really wants to see the letter. He wants to read the letter. And he's not quite used to being ignored. So what does he do with his new uniform and his new smelting stick? He hits his dad on the head with it, which probably brings Uncle Vernon out of his stupor. And then he yells and he makes Harry and Dudley get out of the kitchen, punishing them both. Get out of the kitchen. And so they both try to listen at the door. Dudley gets to listen at the keyhole. Harry's on the ground listening, and they hear them. They're trying to listen to this conversation. They hear Vernon and Petunia. They're like, oh my gosh, somebody's spying on us. How do they know that Harry lives in the cupboard? You know, they've been following us.
Exactly.
You know, and then Aunt Petunia's like, oh, well, don't write back to him. Should we write back? Should we not write back? Don't write back. And then Vernon's like, yeah, they'll just drop it. You know, if we don't write back.
Yeah, you know those people, they don't think the way we do. They'll give up.
Yeah, they'll give up.
What made him think that? I don't know.
He I think at that point he's grasping for straws, maybe.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because we know, so he goes to work and he comes back and he sits down with Harry. So he's been at work and he's been thinking about it. So he sits down with Harry and he says, hey, we're going to move you into Dudley's second bedroom. Here's the sad part. It took Harry one trip to move all of his belongings from the cupboard under the basement to Dudley's second bedroom. So he gets there. Everything in the room was something that used to be owned by Dudley. So it was a second bedroom. And everything was broken and out of order except for one thing. The books in the room looked,
of course,
untouched. And all the while this is happening, Dudley is pitching a Dudley-sized fit that Harry was taking his second room. And I love how, it says this time yesterday, Harry would have loved. He would have done anything to have a bedroom of his own. But today, right now, he would much rather be in the cupboard under the stairs with his letter.
Yeah. So the next morning was tense. Dudley had done as much protesting as he could because he's used to getting his way, and now he's getting ignored. He's getting pushed away. He's hitting Vernon on the head with that smelting stick, which I would think Vernon would probably yank it out of his hand and either hit him with it or break it. So the fact that he didn't really respond to that speaks volumes about what's going on.
Yeah.
But Harry was thinking about the previous morning when he had his letter and Vernon and Petunia kept giving each other nervous glances. So he is worried about their reactions. Now here's the part where the mail comes again. So I would think that Vernon changing Harry's room, I don't think that had anything to do with, if I change rooms, the letters will stop. I think that's to just distract Harry about what's going on and kind of get on his better side and make him kind of forget about the letters. Yeah, I think that's what that was. Because you're getting a little small for this cupboard. You don't care. You don't care.
You're the worst, Vernon.
Yeah. So now the mail comes, and Uncle Vernon made Dudley go get the mail. There was no question, no arguing. Just go get the mail. There was another letter addressed to Mr. H. Potter, the smallest bedroom, number 4, Privet Drive, Little Whinging, Surrey. And I started thinking about the smallest bedroom, and I thought, that's that's real mean to give him the smallest bedroom. But then I thought, you go from cupboard to a small bedroom, you can walk around. So it's probably great.
Yeah.
Uncle Vernon and Harry leapt up from the table and raced down the hallway in an effort to get the letter from Dudley, but there was a bit of a scrum in the hallway, and Uncle Vernon ended up with the letter and made the boys go into their rooms. I think at some point, unless you mention this later, he actually sleeps by the mail slot, and Harry has a plan to go sneak down there and get a letter and then steps on Uncle Vernon.
Yes, that is, yeah. We bring that up.
Yeah.
We bring
Harry realized whoever sent him this letter knew that he moved to this other bedroom. So, like I just said, he made this plan to sneak down, get the letter before anybody else could get it, except he stepped right on Uncle Vernon's face. After being berated by Uncle Vernon, he was told to go make tea. Now, I noticed Uncle Vernon says this a lot.
British.
I think this is his go-to when he gets upset. Yeah, go make tea.
Yeah.
So while doing so, the mail fell right into Uncle Vernon's lap. There was now 3 letters for Harry, but he ripped them right up.
I mean, I can just imagine a 10-year-old who just yesterday received his first letter in his life.
Ever, yeah.
Gets it taken away from him, or 2 days ago. Then, there's another letter. That gets taken from him. So he's like, oh, here's what I'm going to do. 10-year-old, I'm a genius. I'm going to wake up early. I'm going to tiptoe downstairs. And I'm going to be there only to have it spoiled. And then he has to hear the mail fall right into Uncle Vernon's lap.
Oh, yeah.
Just the devastation.
And I think Harry had even wondered, like, who would be writing to him? He has no family, no friends.
No clue.
That got me thinking, how does Harry know he doesn't have family? The Dudleys must have told him, we're all you got.
Yeah, they had to.
Another red flag right there.
And I would love, and you and I have talked about this, I don't know if it's been on a podcast, I never really got into Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. I never got into Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, because those are in the same universe, but they're not Harry-centric.
Yeah.
But I would love to know if Harry is descendant of the Peverils. He's got to have tons of family. Like, where are his grandparents? We talked. Sirius tells Harry, like, oh, growing up, I stayed with your dad at his house all the time, and Harry was never like, oh, you knew my grandparents? Like, tell me about, like, we know. So I would love if she does a proper sequel of either the first Wizarding War, or the Marauders, or what have you.
There's so many directions they can go to keep us alive. It's insane.
Yeah, would love for her to sprinkle in, why is Petunia the only blood relative? Or maybe it's because it's Lily's
I have a theory.
only remaining blood relative, and it had to be her blood.
No, so my theory is it's in the letter. Maybe Dumbledore put in the letter, do not let Harry think he has other family. He needs to stay here. He's safe here. We need to keep him here at all costs.
Yeah, that's possible.
So I would imagine, I'm not 100% sure, but it makes sense that Dumbledore would have said, hey, no, he has to stay here.
Yeah, because if it is Lily's blood, then Petunia, being the only relative from that side, it would have he had to live with Petunia, which because we don't know what Dumbledore put in the letter, but we do know that he reminds her later. No, I like that.
And that's a really good scene too.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Hey, again, we'll get into that when we get to that part, but okay, so back to the letters from no one. So the fact that Uncle Vernon slept on the floor that night, Should have shown us how badly Uncle Vernon didn't want Harry to get this letter, but that was kind of just the start of things. So Vernon decided not to go to work that day, and he stayed home, and he nailed the mail slot closed.
Which makes sense. I mean, that's
Thinking,
probably the first thing I would have thought to do.
Sure, yeah. This is where the mail comes in. We're gonna make it so that the mail can't come in that one tiny part of this house.
Problem solved.
But on Friday, 12 letters arrived for Harry, except they didn't come through the mail slot. They came under the door, through the sides of the door, and even pushed through one of the small windows at number 4 Privet Drive.
See, and this is the best part of the chapter. Best part of the chapter, best part of the introduction in the movie, which I know you have strong words about, but
just one tiny part of it. Just one tiny part of it. And we'll discuss it. It's probably nothing that you've, haven't heard before. But so for a second day in a row, Uncle Vernon stays home from work. He burned the letters. Then he boarded up all the cracks around the doors and windows so that no one could actually go in or out of the home.
Gee.
And he hummed while he was working, almost, kind of hear like a manic vibe to Uncle Vernon.
Yeah.
And he starts jumping at any of any sound. He kind of reacts to it as like he's becoming pretty paranoid. But then the following day, 24 letters arrived, and they were each rolled up and stuffed into each of the 24 eggs that were delivered to the house. Not through the front door, but the delivery man had to deliver them through the window awkwardly to Aunt Petunia. So then Aunt Petunia, she shreds these 24 letters in her food processor while Uncle Vernon is on the phone to the post office and to the dairy and the farm. Who can he complain to and yell at because this happened to him? And then the next day is a Sunday, which comes, especially in the movie, it's a great line.
It is.
That Uncle Vernon says, "You know what happens on Sunday? No posts on Sunday." And so Harry's upset. No posts on Sunday because now it's been several days in a row that he has not had an opportunity.
I think he asked Harry, like, what happens on Sunday? And Harry's like, no post.
That's right. No posts on Sundays. He's just so happy. But as you and I know, 30 to 40 letters start whizzing down the chimney. They're bouncing off the walls, off the floor. Vernon's trying to get everybody out, and then he just snaps. Now, my gripe with the movie scene. In the movie, there's more than 30 or 40 letters coming down. There's a lot of letters coming down. They're literally covering the floor.
Yeah.
So the youngest seeker in 100 years gets on a coffee table, jumping in the air. Now, there's literally dozens of them at his feet. All he had to do was bend down and pick up a letter. But the youngest seeker in 100 years, who can catch a snitch, couldn't catch a Hogwarts letter 12 inches from his face.
Well,
I've said it. That's my grievance.
Okay, the rebuttal I have to that.
I love a good rebuttal.
We have to rebuttal everything.
I like big rebuttals, and I cannot lie.
How confident would you be in yourself with that hostile of an environment? How hard and confident are you trying that you just know you're going to grab a letter and it's going to be, you're going to open it and read it? Your confidence, it's just not there.
Maybe.
Right? And when he's the youngest seeker in 100 years, his confidence is growing at that point. So
sure,
it might have something to do with it, but it might just be just for. It sounds nice. Oh, all these letters flying everywhere. It is kind of silly when you look at it. Like it's
theatrical. Yeah, the theatrics. Yeah. I get it.
Yeah.
But it's like, Harry, my man, you're literally standing on letters.
Yeah. It would have been easy to hide one, really.
Very easy.
Hide one and then act like you're going to open one up. Yeah.
Yeah. My only grievance from that scene. So Vernon snaps. That's it. That does it. He's trying to be calm, but he's pulling great tufts. I love that word, tufts. From his mustache. I want you all back here in 5 minutes, ready to leave. We're going away. Just pack some clothes, no arguments. And obviously nobody argued with the beefy Uncle Vernon, who is now missing half of his mustache. Oh, no.
What you got for me? What you got?
So I've got to ask you a trivia question from this chapter.
Yes, sir.
Okay. How did Mrs. Fig break her leg?
Tripping over her cats.
Yes.
Yep. And when last chapter, I was like, oh, maybe she didn't really break her leg. Maybe she was just, saying that because she thought, Harry would be treated better. But then in this chapter, it's revealed she broke it tripping over her cats, and now she's not so fond of her cats. So
now she's not so fond of her cats.
She could still be acting. So it's a stretch. It's a stretch, but it's nice to think about.
That's true. Yes. Very good. Very good.
How do they do on the quiz? Good?
You're great. Yeah, spot on.
Right.
Spot on.
Yes. So 10 minutes later, they've broken out of the house, having to pull all of the nailed wood off the door. That probably took a while. Or maybe Vernon just hulked up like he just ate a bunch of spinach and just simply yanked and walked out the door. They drove and they drove. Every now and then, Uncle Vernon would take a random turn and murmur, "Shake him off, shake him off."
I love that. He thinks he's so smart. The people that are literally sending letters to the cupboard under the stairs, he thinks that making an extra turn, shake him off, shake him off.
And he knows better, too. I mean,
he knows.
So not even Petunia knew where they were going. They drove all day long. They stopped at a gloomy hotel the following morning. They had a crappy breakfast. When you go to a hotel and it's like continental breakfast, and then you go out there and it's cereal.
Such a coin toss. Yeah, it's a coin toss.
Yeah, like a protein bar and an orange. Yeah. You're like, oh, let me go to Denny's over there. The owner of the hotel came to them. I think they were checking out, or maybe he came up to his room, but it's one of you, Mr. H. Potter, because I've got about 100 of these letters. And the letter says, Mr. H. Potter, room 17, Railview Hotel, Cokeworth. Whoever this is knows exactly which, if I'm Harry, I'm getting curious now, but I'm still scared, especially with Vernon's erratic behavior.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no telling what he's thinking who could possibly be writing him that knows where he is. Yeah.
So, of course, Harry tried to get a letter, failed. Vernon is the best quarterback of all times in this scenario and will not let the other player get the ball. I'm not big into sports, so maybe that sounded okay.
It was all right. We'll allow it.
Yeah. Several hours of driving later, Aunt Petunia she just wanted to go home. Dudley wanted to go home. Dudley is missing all of his TV shows. Mm-hmm. Dudley didn't have his video games. Dudley didn't have his broken toys. He is not liking this. He couldn't bring his TV. He tried to pack his TV.
He did try to pack his TV. Oh. And now Dudley lived in an immediate gratification world.
Already, yeah. Ooh.
Yeah, he lived in his immediate gratification world and he had to leave it.
Oh, it's bad, yeah. Oh, man. Harry, realizing that today was Monday, because Dudley had mentioned one of his favorite Monday TV shows were on, and you can count on Dudley knowing what day of the week it is because of the TV shows. But Harry realized that tomorrow is his birthday, which doesn't mean much since the Dursleys never do anything special for his birthday. And here comes, man, you could almost call this like trolling. Like, I know there's TV shows out there where somebody on the crew does something in the scene, whether they place a picture or change something. They do it every episode to see if anybody would notice. It's almost like this, and I could almost say like I wish it would have kept going, but it does. This isn't the first time. So last year the Dursleys gave Harry for his birthday a coat hanger and a pair of Uncle Vernon's old socks. And just wait, because the gifts get better as we go.
Yes. It's a good. I love that she rolls with it.
Yeah, she rolls with it, but it's them acknowledging that it's his birthday, so they don't completely forget. So the little tiny bit of redemption there, albeit the tiniest bit of the word. But Harry, he was excited. It wasn't every day that you turned 11 years old. Then Uncle Vernon gets back in the car, smiling with a suspiciously shaped package that he wouldn't tell anybody what it was, and the news that he had found a perfect place to stay. Everyone gets out of the car, and it's just raining. It's cold. Uncle Vernon points to a rock out at sea with a miserable old shack that you could imagine. It looks like a lighthouse to me. When I see it in the movies, for some reason, I think, oh, that's a lighthouse. But when you're actually in it, it's not a lighthouse. But I don't know, because it's like out in the middle right there on its own little island right there. I just think lighthouse. I don't know why.
Yeah, but it's just the book just says it's a little 2-room shack.
Yeah, I don't know why I think I think just because of the settings around it.
Yeah.
So they borrow an old rowboat, and this is probably the other reason why I keep thinking lighthouse. They had to take a boat to get out to him in the middle of a sea storm.
Yeah.
Vernon,
Who's rowing this thing? Who's rowing this thing?
Yeah, probably Vernon. I mean, he's got the anchor. He's got the anchor row, so these waves are no problem. No problem.
He's getting away from shore. Yeah.
Yeah. And Uncle Vernon said he had brought rations, which turned out to be 4 bags of chips and 4 bananas. He tried to make a fire with the chip bags. Apparently, those rations didn't last very long if he's starting to already start a fire with them as soon as they get there. But that didn't work out so good. So food's gone.
If he would have, if he would have lived in the social media days, he would know that you could use some of these processed Doritos and stuff. Those are flammable.
Those are the fire starters.
Yeah, those are the fire starters, not the bag. Like it's like, oh my gosh.
Well, the bag, all the bag would do is just melt. So he was fighting a losing battle right there.
Yeah. He would, Vernon would never risk burning his food. He's going to eat the food.
Maybe he ate all the food. Give me your rations. I got to start this fire.
Yeah. Maybe that's what maybe he had more food and then he just told everybody else, oh, I actually only brought chips and bananas.
I guarantee he had more food. Yeah, I guarantee it.
So they try to make a fire. Fire doesn't work. The storm's getting worse. So they're all about to go to bed. Petunia found some moldy blankets. Gross. Yeah. Dudley slept on the couch. Vernon and Petunia slept in the bed in the other room. And now Harry, the neglected one, was left to find the softest bit of floor he could find.
That was a good play on words right there. You sold that. Sold that, sir.
Yes. Curled up under the thinnest, most ragged blanket. Obviously, he couldn't sleep. He was hungry. He was uncomfortable. Dudley was snoring. The storm was rumbling. And then he noticed Dudley's wristwatch, which had the hands and the numbers glowed in the dark. So he notices on the watch that it's 10 minutes until midnight. He's about to be 11 years old. And I like what they did in the movies, how he's, starts drawing the birthday cake on the ground and,
Good little visual.
Good little visual there. And then he wondered if the Dursleys would remember his birthday this year. And he wondered where the letter writer was now. And then as he's thinking about this, 5 minutes to go. But he hears a creaking outside. Then 4 minutes to go. Now he's wondering if number 4, when they go back to Privet Drive, is the house going to be so full of letters? Would he have time to grab one? Would he have time to read one? Or before they were all destroyed? 3 minutes to go. Was that the sea making that noise? 2 minutes to go. What was that funny crunching now? 1 minute to go till he'd be 11. 30 seconds. 20, 10, 9. Maybe he'd wake Dudley up just to annoy him. 3, 2, 1.
Boom!
Boom! The whole shack shivered, and Harry sat up, staring at the door. There was someone outside knocking to come in. 11-year-old Harry in a shack in the middle of a storm, in the middle of the ocean. And now there's somebody at the door.
Yeah,
what are you thinking if that's you?
I'm going to have to edit this out, but I'm scared shitless.
Yeah.
I mean,
we're all going to die.
Yeah. This is number 4 privet. What? Nope, we're not going back there. This is it.
We can't run away from this.
No, I'm dying right here on this dirt.
This shack, the softest bit of floor.
Oh man,
yeah.
So, I just wanted to say again, we're trying our hardest to take as little from the books as we can, but these first couple of chapters, most of the first book, there's just so much information packed in there that it's hard to take out something that's not important, because up until this point almost everything is important, but I feel as we go, we'll be able to tell the story more in our own words, from our own perspective, and it won't feel like we're taking from the book. But right now, man, it's unavoidable, I think. And again, we're not affiliated with J.K. Rowling, Warner Brothers, we just wanted to do a Harry Potter podcast.
We're just huge fans.
People understand, yeah.
We're just huge fans, yeah.
Oh yeah, this is great. So, that being said, we're going to get right into our final thoughts right here.
Lovely.
So I gotta say, as cheesy as the music is, it does set a mood, and after a while hearing that music so much, it's just like, okay, here we go.
Oh, I'm there. I'm there.
It's nice. So, okay, so out of the 3 chapters we've read so far, which one do you think is most important? Which seems like an impossible question to answer.
Which one was most important? Well, I think the first chapter is the most important. We get who Harry is, why Harry is. It sets up why there is a book series about Harry Potter. And I think the second chapter, the Vanishing Glass, we know from the first chapter that he's from a wizarding family. So the fact that he can make things up, yes, it's interesting to see him experience it and not know what it means. But we obviously your parents were wizards. This is why this is happening. And then
if you're reading it for the first time, when it first comes out, do you know his parents were wizards? I didn't read it when it came out, so I can't answer that question.
Yeah, so
you knew nothing about it. I don't know what kind of publicity there was when the book came out.
Yeah, that's a good question, because I read the first book when there were 4 books out. I know I read the first 3, and then it was a minute until I got my hands on Goblet of Fire. But I don't know if Goblet of Fire was already out when I got it.
So a couple books had already been out by the time you read it.
Yeah, so it's almost like, we already knew that he was a wizard. And I think, to be fair, I believe on the cover of the first one, at least the Scholastic one, he's holding a wand, right? So I think we're all...
I think it depends on what cover you have, because the cover I have is Harry in Diagon Alley.
Well, that's a later one. So the very first one, he's flying on a broomstick.
Okay. Oh, yes, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, so he's flying on a broomstick. So
okay.
So we kind of have some insight.
Yeah.
And then, kind of the conversation between McGonagall and Dumbledore about Voldemort. Well, you were the only wizard that he was afraid of.
Yeah,
And,
that's true. Yeah.
you know, he's one of us. He's not. They're not like us. You know, so I think.
Yeah.
But so I would say the first chapter is obviously the most important at this point, and then I think chapter 4 is to me is where now I'm all in. Right, chapter 1, okay. Chapter 2, okay. 3, okay. I get these letters, and then 4, let's go.
Okay.
Let's go.
Yeah,
You know?
because we start getting more involved in the story. We get a little bit farther away from the Dursleys. Man, as much as we paint the Dursleys to be these terrible people, man, she could have went on and on and on about the Dursleys, and I would have been in. I would have been in. So go ahead and ask me a question. I want to see what kind of question you come up with before final thought, if you got anything.
Okay. Let's see. What questions do I have? I mean, so number one, which one of the chapters do you think is the most important? And if you could change anything about any of the 3 chapters that we've read, what would it be?
The first one is the most important. The introduction, like I said before, how she just gets right into it. There's no delay. There's no, oh, well, here's what's happening before we get into the cast. So I really like the way she set it up and the way it just sets everything up. Harry's parents died. He has to go to the Dursleys. It's a great chapter. Chapter 2, I think it was important to describe, like, what was going on with Harry, and he didn't know, but less important when you compare it to chapter 1 and chapter 3. Chapter 3 starts setting everything up even more. We get these letters. Where are these letters coming from? That's the first bit of magic we run into. If I had to change anything, as of right now, I wouldn't have changed anything yet.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah, everything's it's perfect. Albeit, like we say, it's built for little kids, but I mean, you can't deny the amazing introduction. I mean, I don't think I've seen one better. So
lovely.
So that being said, hopefully you guys can join us for chapter 4, The Keeper of the Keys. And let us know what you thought of this chapter. Go ahead and email us, squibscorner@gmail.com. Contact me at Instagram, AkioPotterGuy. Check out my YouTube. But we'd like to know your thoughts on this chapter or any chapter up until now. Let us know your thoughts on a book up till now. Maybe what are your final thoughts on these 3 chapters? What was most important? What was the best chapter? What could have been left out? What could have been done different? Like we said, I don't think anything could have been done different. I mean, obviously, stuff could have been done different. Everything could be done different. But could I say, hey, you should have done this? No, I honestly can't say that I could say that.
No. Yeah.
So, Andrew, this is your chapter. Go ahead and sign us out with some amazing quote.
Well, no surprise here. We're going to pull a quote from the headmaster himself, Albus Dumbledore, when he talks to Harry Potter in the next book, Chamber of Secrets. He tells him it does not do to dwell on dreams and forget to live.